once again, you're welcome to Jerry's Avenue, and I'm very excited today that whether you are new to SQL or database, you're in the right place. By the end of this series, you are sure to have a strong foundation to build your SQL career on. So, are you excited like I am? Let's jump on it. 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 Before we go into the hands-on aspects, we need to intimate ourselves with some basic concepts as a beginner. So when you hear of database, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? For me, the first thing that comes to mind is a physical shelf where files containing documents are properly organized, and whenever there's a need to access a particular file, a particular document, the file containing the document is properly retrieved, and whatever information that needs to be gotten is taken from there. Exactly, that is how a database works. So a database is a collection of interrelated data. It contains data in an organized manner that can be easily retrieved, accessed to analyze and make informed decisions. So what is a database management system? This is a software that is used to create, manage, and organize databases. And the relational database management system, called RDBMS, is the one that is built on this concept of tables, that is relation. Tables that are related, that are interrelated, have relationship with one another. So it means that on this relational database management system, data is organized rather into tables that is known as relation, in rows also called records, and columns also known as attributes or feeds. So there are a lot of these relational database management system, and the foremost ones are SQL Server, owned by Microsoft, which is known as SQL Server Management Studio, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and others. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be sticking with SQL Server. However, whatever you are going to learn from here can easily be transferred to any other relational database management system, because they're almost the same. The difference is just a slight changes in their statements. So that we call flavor. It's just like a language in different dialects. Okay, so what is SQL now? The SQL is not a database itself. It is rather a language that is used to interact with the database. So it means that it is the programming language that is used to store, to manipulate, and retrieve data from the relational database management system. Okay, so this SQL now, this programming language, is used to perform 4 major CRUD operations. CRUD, retrieve and read data that are present. Also used to update, modify already inserted data. Also used to update, modify, and delete. How do we create a database in the first place? So I'm going to open my SQL Server. Okay, so here comes my SQL Server. So you can as well follow along, but if you don't have a SQL Server installed yet, don't worry. I'm going to drop a link in the description box where you can easily go and download it. And if you think there's a need for me to do a video on how to install SQL Server, let me know in the comment section. So let's continue. So now you can see we have database. So we can see databases. Now for you to create a database, you have to click on it, then you right click. So once you right click, you're going to see new database. Now I already have some databases already on this, but now for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to create a new database. Then we're going to title it SQL tutorial. So SQL tutorial. Okay, so once you're done, then we're going to click enter. Now we have our database created. It's just as simple as ABC, right? Okay, so let's proceed. Now the next thing we have to do here is to start creating our table. Okay, so for us to start, click on new query for us to have an opened window here to do that, as you can see. So you must ensure that your database, this is on the database you want to work on. So in my case, I want to work on SQL tutorial, so that's why I have it already selected as the database I am working currently on. Okay, so let's start creating our table now. So to create our table, the same way we say it create is just how we're going to write it. So to create a table in a SQL, just going to write the statement create table, then the name of the table you want to create. Okay, so let's assume we want to create, let's create a table for a, let's create a table for for an high school. Yeah, so for the high school we want to have a table, we want to have information about the students as well as the staff. So let's create for the student first. So we're going to have students. So students. So when you are naming your table, the best practice is to have your table pluralized. Now we have to specify the columns that this table will contain. So to do that, we're going to specify them in the parentheses. So there will be, our columns will be specified inside the parentheses. Now we're going to start with the first column, which is usually an ID. So we're going to start with the student ID, then followed by the data type. So every column must have a date. You must specify a data type for each column. So now for the student ID, the data type is going to be an integer. So in the next video, I already talked about about data type. So make sure you watch the next video so that you can understand perfectly what data types is all about as far as SQL is concerned. Okay, so we're going to have the integer as a data type. Now the next column will be the student first name. The data type will be a varchar because it's a string, and then we're going to specify the maximum character length. So let's say 50. Can we have anybody with it? 50 is much, yeah. So let's say 30. 30 should be okay. So let's have the last name as well. Last name. The data type should also be varchar. Say 30. So always ensure to separate each column with a comma. It's only the last column that should not be separated with a comma. I think that's also, like I said earlier, you could see this is the last column. That's why I'm not putting a comma here. So now you can see our query is well written. There's no error. For you to know that there's an error, you should be having a red. Now let me do something. So can you see? You can see a red underline. So because there's a syntax error here. So now can you see it's no longer there. So that is how it works. Okay, now we're going to run this code. How do you run your code? Once you're done writing your code, normally you're supposed to highlight everything, but since this is our first code, so you may not need to do that. But if you have more than one query, then you should always highlight the current one, the one you want to run, the one you want to execute. So now we're going to execute this. So now always make sure you terminate your query with a semicolon. That is to tell something that you are done with this query, then you can now run it. Okay, so we're going to select it and run. Execute. You can see commands completed successfully. So that's how to create a table. Now we want to insert values into our student table. So to do that, we're just going to make use of the insert statement. So it's written as insert into, then the name of the table, which in this case is students, then followed by the columns in that table in the order of in the order of creation. So it's written as insert into, then the name of the table, which in this case is students, yeah. So once we are done, then the next thing will be to have the value statement. So this, we want to insert into student, then the column values. Now to start entering our values, it will still be inside our parentheses. So we're going to have our values inside parentheses. So for the student ID, let's assume the student ID start from 1000. So let's have the first person as 1000. So the first name, say let's say Roslyn. The first name is Roslyn. So I am putting it in quotation because it's a string. So whenever you are writing a string, it should be inside quotation. Okay, so Roslyn, then the last name is Roslyn Daniel. Let's have it, Roslyn Daniel. Okay, the gender is male. Just say male. The age is 12, and the class is say grade 5. Okay, so we are done with that. Then that's how we continue for as many rows as our data we contain. So I'll just copy and paste. I'm going to forward this because of the time, so I'll just do it. Then you can do yours just for the sake of time. So have our values already imputed. As you can see, the student ID is unique for each of the students. So no two students are having the same student ID. So make sure yours is this way. And as you can see, the columns, each value for each column are separated by a comma. So ensure you do that so that your query can run, and each row is separated by comma until the last one. So the last one is the one that is not separated by comma. Instead, it's going to be terminated with a semicolon. That is, we are done with this query. So we are going to highlight it now and we're going to run it. As you can see, 11 rows affected. It means that we now have this information, this data, or we have them imputed into our table. So if we query our table now to see the table, we're going to have them. So for us to see into our table and retrieve this table, we're going to we're going to use a statement called select. Then want to see everything from the name of the table, which is students. Okay, so now you can see this is the table. So we have our table. So now we've been able to create our first table in our SQL. I'm very sure you are excited about how far you've come in this SQL, and I can tell you this is just a tip of the iceberg. So just stick around and make sure you watch the next video so that you can continue the progress. I'll be waiting for you in the next video. And if you know that this video has really been helpful to you, then do well to click the subscribe button, and make sure you share with your loved ones. I'm sure I'm going to see you in the next video.